So, Pallavi, it's been 60 days since you've exited training. I wanted you to tell our audience a little bit about how training went for you, and secondly, what it's been like to be in the real world. So, I guess let's start with training. That's the easy question first.
Yeah, training was good. It was very exciting getting in there, just learning about all things made this, how to get started. I mean, it was very well organized for sure. And our coach, mentor Dan, he's a pleasure to work with. He's been a great coach. Um, and yeah, I think the training provided with all the tools that was necessary, and it was like I said, it was laid out very well. Starting out with obviously getting your systems in place, getting the recruitment going, getting the advertisement going, how to start finding your first customers. Even we did practice calls on the during the training as well, just to like customer calls, how to take in customer calls, how to handle complaints, how to do a cleaner interview, how to figure out like how to vent them out, like how what kind of questions to ask to really figure out if they have the right experience, things like that. So yeah, overall, I think training went great, and also it was helpful to have another person there with me. Joe is another fellow franchisee who started right with me. So it was kind of nice to have someone to get into this whole process together and kind of bounce ideas off of each other and share in with share the same troubles we're going through, whether it's recruitment or whatnot. So that was great. And then once getting out of training, it started out a little slow, but then I think I hit all the possible um, opportunities, getting into trouble. When I say that, I'll tell you what happened. My very first customer, right?
Okay.
The very first customer that came through Meta ads, I was excited. Okay, my first booking, first customer, right? First customer on the books. The cleaning is tomorrow. I have my cleaning assigned, a cleaner assigned to this cleaning. The day before the cleaning, she calls me and says, I got into a wreck, so I don't have a car for tomorrow. And at this point, I have one cleaner.
Right. And one potential client.
One cleaner for available during the weekdays, and I had my second cleaner was only working weekends. So technically I had two, but one. So I mean, this is outside of training. I was not trained for the situation in the training, obviously, but I think I've tried before I reached out to the customer. I tried everything possible to save that customer because this was my first customer.
Right.
I got onto my outbound recruiting spreadsheet and looked at all my contacts that I had called out to previously to get them to work contract with me. Reached out to some folks that I had talked to and said, "Hey, remember me?" And I said, "Hey, this is not what I'm calling for." But I have a job opportunity if you want. It's tomorrow. This is the detail. If you're available, it's yours. Help me out. But unfortunately, it was too short notice. I couldn't find anyone. After I exhausted all my options, I eventually called a customer. The other issue was he needed the cleaning that day because they had a party the next day.
Right.
So that was again, I was feeling so disappointed that, oh no, what do I do? But what do I do? That's the life lesson. You just had to deal with it. I said, I apologized for it. I said, this is the situation. I'm sorry I couldn't find a replacement. Happy to do it another day and give you, certain hours free cleaning in the future if that's okay. He accepted it. He said he's going to call me back for that free cleaning in the future. He hasn't
Sure.
said it, but at least we didn't part ways. There was no sour taste. with that. He's still good. He's okay. He's not coming back to leave me a bad review or anything
Right.
like
Well, I
that.
mean, I feel like you're talking about it in a very calm way. I think as I'm going back to my own entrepreneurial experience and similar things, I would have been in total meltdown mode. And I
I
don't know if you were
think I
feeling that.
was.
Yeah. So you did feel that way, but you're speaking about it very calmly now in a way that feels like an older business owner where, hey, things happen. I would like to be in control of everything that has to do with my business, but there are times where I just have to accept I don't have an alternative situation. What's different is you went through all the other possibilities and you went out there really, really going for it, trying to figure out, well, what else could I do? And you really couldn't do anything else. And that's just part of time going on. Early, you don't have as many resources as you do. As you said, it was your very first client.
Yeah. And afterthought was, okay, maybe I could have set her up with an Uber. But then she lives so far down south from the house, it would have been I don't know. I could have. I could have. That was an afterthought that I was thinking, okay, if that happens again, since I couldn't drive there myself,
Yeah, it would be one of those situations where I'm going to make $0 on this, but
yeah, I
we
would
want
just
to we want to get earn the review and we want to, but it has to make sense. Obviously, you can't necessarily lose money
yeah,
on doing it, but sometimes if it's just to break even or whatever else, it makes sense. And you
yeah.
said obviously this is outside of training, right? You weren't given training
Yeah.
on what happens if on your first client, but I wanted to just revisit that and say, did training meet your expectations in terms of what you thought you were going to learn and from
Yeah.
yourself, what you thought you were bringing to the table versus what you were actually training? Because no one, as you said, you haven't gone through a franchisee training for a cleaning business before. And what was that like? I think I just want to get your feedback on that a bit.
Yeah, I think getting into it, I felt like, okay, I don't know anything about cleaning. How am I gonna do this? But then you realize that you don't have to know everything about cleaning. It's to learn if you learn about how you actually find the right people, how you advertise properly, and those are the key things. It's not, you don't have to know exactly how to do all the cleaning, what solutions to use. That's not
Right.
the thing.
I prefer this
And
product.
and also I think there were a lot of things. For example, when I first learned and when I was told that only 2% of the cleaners that you interview will actually make the cut, and I was thinking, well, that's a pretty big, that doesn't make sense. But then until you actually experience it yourself, then you tell yourself, okay, that's actually true. Uh, so there are a lot of those things that you learn about it, but until you actually experience that in the real world, and then get that, yeah, handle it, handle
It,
it yourself, that's when you realize, oh yeah, that's actually correct. That's how it is.
gives you so much more appreciation, right? I think that's why I
Yeah,
always see my family or friends who've been wait staff before, they're always so generous with tipping when we go out. And I'll say, wow, I said, listen, when you've been a waiter or waitress, Stephen, you'll understand. And
yeah.
I think that because of being in it, they know. And so now you understand being on the other side of you've been a consumer before asking for cleaning services. But now you know really the unlock code is, can I find someone who can be reliable and dependable to show up and be consistent all the time? That is actually what you're being paid for. All
Hmm.
the other stuff is, in a sense, peripheral. Even the
Yeah,
cleaning itself is, my value add is finding someone consistent for you because they'll do a great job if I find the right person. And
yeah.
I think most people who are hearing that will be shocked and they might be scared off a little bit. They might say, well, if it's only 2%, I don't know if I want to get into this business. So I think that's the last question I'll ask you today is learning that in training and the theory of it and then doing it in person, that wasn't enough to scare you off from doing this. You still saw potential.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's time consuming to find that right person, but it's worth it. Again, that's something you hear in training, but then until you actually experience it and go through it, you really understand the value of it, because you get one bad cleaner because you're in a rush that, hey, I need cleaners. I'm just starting out. I have one cleaner. I need a cleaner, and they did an okay job. You hired them on, But then think about they go to one or two customers and they do a very sloppy job. Then you have to not only fire them, but send another cleaner to make it right. So you're pretty much at this time doubling your effort, doubling your expense, and then also the customer experience. Of course, in the end, if you did a good job, that's still a customer on your side. But then just think about all the resources you're putting in to make it right. So it's better to do that homework, do your due diligence before, and not get greedy about having one more cleaner. But do it the right way and have a good cleaner who'll actually be with you for a longer time.
Well, you already shared a war story with us for your first 60 days, so I'd like to come back and chat with you in another 4 months. It'll be 6 months after training, and you'll have more stories, I'm sure, for us. But thank you for letting us know what training was like and what it's been like to be a baby franchisee, just fresh out of training. And I think you've already demonstrated that you're rolling with the punches. And this is, in a sense, some of the hardest period that you're going to go through is when you know the least and you're learning the most and you're getting your team together. So it sounds like you're doing well with that, and I'm excited to see where you end up in a few more months.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Thank you.
Sure.